Okay, hi. It is actually noon. Is it actually noon? Did I actually get started? Oh, no, it's 12:01. Okay. It's actually it's just afternoon on a Saturday, which means that it's time for the Saturday RadChat. Hello everybody and nobody. Let's do the actual live chat and not just the top chat because I'm the moderator here. I'm the owner of the channel. Why would I not want to see everything? I don't understand that. Makes me wonder, who created some of these settings? Turn that brightness up a little bit. Oh, is the camera dirty? What? Well, it is now. Why do I look fuzzy? Why do I look like I am sitting in mist? That's weird. And that's not really any better. Okay, apparently we're washed out today. I don't know. We got our nice little curtain up to block the sun. And yeah, just kind of hanging out, waiting for peeps to show. This week's video was fun, right? I feel like people are gonna think, oh, she must be hurting for views. She went, back to the Jeremy Dodger well. But like, no, I don't believe I'm even subscribed to that channel. I just saw, it just recommended me the video, and I was like, okay, fine, let's see what she has to say. What up, Mary? How you doing? Oh my gosh. I'm glad you were happy to see Jamie back. I feel like people are gonna think that I'm content mining, but like that one was fun and hit like a lot of the points, right? Like the classic, like I said, your classic trans points. Which holy crap, I've been doing this for almost a decade. At this point, it does feel like classic stuff to me. Jamie is evil. Yeah. And how do you sit in front of a fucking like that set? How do you honestly sit in front of pictures of ice cream and like stuffed animals and be like, yeah, none of this is for kids? How do you do that? How do you like mentally like what are you talking? I'm like I can almost hear her. Oh, I just like put that stuff there because I like it. And you have Peter Pan syndrome, right? I'm pretty sure that person doesn't ever want to actually grow up. I'm pretty sure that person is terrified, denies everything about right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think some version of Peter Pan syndrome might be close to the root of that, you know? Because growing into a woman is a terrifying prospect. It is. It can be. I definitely remember feeling that. But gosh, it just doesn't justify all that. And it certainly doesn't justify trying to sell the lie you told yourself to other people in book form or YouTube video form or whatever. But the reason that I felt like this one was the one to cover was because she's actually coming back to something we were talking about before, right? It's not something you can escape. Right, yeah, exactly. I hope to try and make it maybe something not worth escaping. You know? I hope to maybe salvage some good there. I don't have much choice. I figure I might as well give it a shot, right? Oh, big bottle. Really expensive face wash, just sitting open, waiting to get knocked over. There we go. No, and like the idea that your own self would feel like something you needed to escape from. That's horrifying. That was a good video. Good points that you pushed back on. Thank you. Thank you, Big Plans. Like I say, these feel like just kind of classic trans talking points to me at this point. It's been a long time. So it was kind of like shooting fish in a barrel for me. But, she just keeps on making them. So I guess I'm just going to keep on countering them. And this one I felt was the one to do because she's responding to a review of her book that puts it up against the rapid onset gender dysphoria people. I see why people call it ROGD. That is a lot easier to say. She's got a lot of unresolved trauma and even more from her surgeries. Yeah, probably. I really don't know much about her background. Although I did see like a short that she had shared a while back of like morphing from, herself at like 14 to the present, and like I wanted to cry. I don't see somebody living their truth there. How can that possibly be what that is? That can't possibly be what that is. That's somebody slowly mutilating themselves. Better align with the story they convince themselves of. Which, like, yeah, if the narrative you have in your head and the reality in front of you don't match very well, that's incredibly disorienting. It's not the reality that needs to change, because it won't. And encouraging others to mutilate themselves. Right. I'm just saying, someone denying their womanhood has some trauma. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just don't know what it is. I mean, but I feel for it. I think we all do. I think we all have some version of that trauma. Just from being female in this society, right? And growing up that way. And like you say, getting a look at womanhood and what that might be, and realizing that is your destination, and going, wait a minute. Right, yeah. And Jamie has a big audience, and like my 15-year-old, I pointed to the video. I said, I just want to point out that is a 29-year-old woman. That's not a young dude, close to your age. This is someone almost twice your age who is a woman. And he kind of blinked at it and said, wow, he passes. I'm like, yeah, she does. Which is part of the issue here. And it occurs to me, at what point does that become creepy? She passes up close. Really? See, that's unusual, right? But she's never going to be like that older, burly dude, right? See her hips and shoulders, and she won't. Oh, I see, like up close in the shot. I see what you're saying. Yeah. And she's got that voice. She's got a voice that's definitely lower than any woman I've ever heard. That helps a lot. And the facial hair, of course, helps a lot. We see beard, we see man. Right. The new left thing about not promoting the other side's point, or even who they are, really irks me. Let sunlight be the disinfectant and lay everything on the table if your side is right. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that suspicious? And it would seem to me that if you feel that you really have the goods to take this person's position on, you wouldn't care to expose them. You might want to, even. Right? So that's a good point. That's suspicious. And then, like I say, she has an axe to grind with these people, because this is the ROGD, the lady who published the study. This is the vice president of her organization, wrote this other book. Am I making that connection clear? I don't know if I'm saying that very well. Lack of Adam's apple. Ooh, see, this is where I start to get into the, I don't want to have to play this game. I don't want to have to play this game. There are men and women. You are one or the other. Do not do not try to obscure that. This is basic human stuff. In fact, it feels like I want to throw my hands up and say, I don't want to play this game anymore. This is not real adult relations. This is not real politics. This is not real social, this is playground shit. And your sense of what is going on is sometimes more reliable than your thoughts about what is going on, right? Because your thoughts, your mind can get preoccupied with a lot of other stuff. But like your gut sense of like, this is a stupid game and I don't want to play it anymore. That's the kind of thing that to me, I don't know, that speaks really loud to me when I get feelings like that. I'm like, okay, that might be my instincts kind of cutting to the chase here. Like, I was at a neighbor's and he put on MTV and there was a human that we had to debate if it was a man or a woman. Well, and again, through a lens, through a screen, with makeup and hair done, and, costumes can do amazing things, right? Hollywood, media, theater tech can do amazing things. But yeah. And it might just be an oddity, if not for the fact that this is so pervasive right now. We landed in, there's no hips or breasts, there's a jawline. It was so hard to tell. But even with my shaved head, my face still looks right. It's not the long hair that makes you clearly a female person. Gay erasure was a great point. They aren't protecting young trans, they're confusing young impressionable gay people. Yeah. Yeah, or in my case, bisexual people who end up straight and married, essentially. But that's another story. Ooh, it was somebody had a video about the brainwashing of bisexuals in the queer community. Oh, I want to watch that, but I know it's going to upset me. Who had that out? Who has that out this week? I saw that. It looked very interesting. Like, this happens to me all the time. It's like some of this stuff, I'm like, oh, that's a really good topic, and I really want to support you by watching it. But if I do, I'm going to just upset myself and ruin my whole day. Yeah. Oh, I want to say it's on my watch list. I want to say it was Runaway Siren, maybe? Oh, no, I have to go get my headphones from the house. We'll just go inside together. I'm not going to leave y'all out here. That's silly. Because I don't need to go to the bathroom. I just got to go in and grab my other headset because these ones are dying. Oh, and, those red ones are really good for when I want to hear what is going on around me. But, like, a lot of times, like, I don't. Just straight up. Like, I wear, it's control of my, like, personal bubble, right? And the red ones are amazing for when I want to hear the music and what someone is saying, which a lot of times I find I don't. Anyways, oh yeah, just remind me, and I will look that up here in a minute because I'm pretty sure I put that on my watch list because it looks so interesting. And then it's one of those things where my initial impulse is, ooh, I want to see that. And then my second thought is, maybe I don't. Not because I am unsure of its quality or don't think that it is relevant or anything like that. I know that it is good and relevant and therefore terrible and gonna upset me. All right. Look at my mess. Look at it. No, don't. Please don't look at my mess. Oh, seriously. We hired a cleaning lady. Because that's my Christmas present. I'm not going to get any stuff for Christmas, but I'm not going to have to do this either. Seems like more than a fair trade. I have my headphones on practically 24 hours all day at work, and I sleep with them on as the missus is a heavy snorer. Oh, that's funny. You should get her a PAP machine because, like, my husband used to be the kind of snorer that would keep you awake too. That's called sleep apnea, and it can be very bad for you. So, yeah, it would probably be good for the both of you to look into getting her a PAP machine if possible. But, like, yeah, I also wear them all the time. I gotta have my music in my ear. I don't understand how anybody, like, goes through life without a rhythm. She is convinced she couldn't sleep with a mask on. Oh, well, he has this little thing that goes up his nose. It's not a mask. It's just two little nose things. Also, sleep apnea can kill you. So, run that past her. Just a thought. You go to sleep, you lay down, you thinking you're gonna take a nap, and you wake up fucking dead. That doesn't sound like much of it. That doesn't sound like any fun to me. Not to mention the cognitive benefits of actually getting good sleep. Right, it's that deadly. You stop breathing. Right. Exactly. So maybe run that by her. I assume she has stuff she'd like to do with the next 20, 30, 40 years, however long she assumes she's got left to live. So we would really, I don't mean to be dramatic here, but like it is kind of dramatic. It just is. Okay. And like I say, not to mention the cognitive benefits of sleeping better at night. You'd be amazed. But yeah, I have to keep the beat in my ear or I just lose my rhythm. I don't know how people do that. And then, yeah, at night I have like crackling fire and stuff, it's just peaceful shit. Not because he snores, because he doesn't really anymore, but just because if I don't have something going, it's like I got to throw my mental dog a bone or he's just going to bark at me all night. Okay, so what was that? Did I put that on here? I did find something about toxic boy moms, which, like, I think it was Philological Bell had asked me about that. Got to make a Spotify list for you. Okay, what kind of stuff do you like? That sounds fun, actually. Like, I can just give you a bunch of shit that I like, but like, what do you like? I've actually gotten to the point where nothing on the list I'm listening to right now has any lyrics in it whatsoever. Nothing. Because the human voice is just that distracting. I am sick of everything I like. Oh, okay. Well, that's easy. Do you prefer things with lyrics or without? Like with singing or with no singing? Like to me at least, that makes a big difference. No, I don't want voice control. Okay. The Land Before Time, my favorite animated masterpiece. Oh, that's so adorable. Dude, transgender selfishness. What about me? Yeah, no. Runaway Siren has some really good topics lately. Truth about stay-at-home moms, which like I want to watch that. It's not up yet, but like I want to watch that one, but I also kind of don't. Not because I think it's going to upset me, just because no English lyrics. Okay, everything I have would be in English because again, like if I have lyrics, I want to hear them. Runaway Siren is pretty good. Yeah. Weaponized incompetence. Yes, he can learn to do laundry. Like, there's a topic I would love to go into. And then there's disappearing lesbian spaces, which like I don't have a dog in that fight, so I let the lesbians. I mean, I support them obviously, but I don't do a whole lot of talking about lesbian spaces because I'm not one mainly. So that feels like stepping on toes to me. No, it's not here. Oh my goodness, who was that? I have like 450 subscriptions. I have too damn many subscriptions is the problem. You know what? I will see it again, and when I do, I will send it to you. Okay. I'll put it in the community in a community post or something. I don't know. So, as far as Jeremy Dodger, like big plans. You're English. Like, how big is that person in the media over? Like, actually, in is that a known person? Because at least over here, Jamie Dodger is the sort of person who, if you're a member of the trans community, yeah, you probably know who she is. But if you're not, then you don't. I sent you a message and over it with my phone number so you could have it again. Oh, okay, cool. I have not been over there to do anything but post this morning's video in at least a week, so I will go and look for that. Okay. And like I owe Critical Kitty an email, and she's not here, so I don't get to apologize for that right now. But but like, it was a busy week, and you want to know why? Because I actually got started on the rewrite of book 3. I actually did that. I actually sat down, and I sketched out the first like scene and a half, and got started writing it. Not aware of them being a big personality. Okay, cool. Because I've noticed that like the level of fame sometimes is vastly different. That there are people like Menno has mentioned a couple of people who apparently are celebrities in the UK who I have never heard of in my life. So, which feels a little strange that someone should have, top 10 mega hits that are so famous going back decades. Okay, you probably know this song. No, I've never heard that ever. And I look for stuff like that. So it's not even that it wasn't on the radio, It wasn't. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a time. Like what happened was I had the ending, right? And at that point I had been working on the damn thing for over a year. So I went, oh, the finish line, zing, and like had not actually fleshed out my hero yet or figured out the solution to my mystery. So then over the summer, I took the break to do, be mom and whatever while everybody was home for the summer. And while that was, over that time, it's sort of percolating, also Irish, and I'm definitely feeling your microaggressions towards me. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you live in London, right? That's my bad for assuming. I'm terribly sorry. But I believe it was actually an Irish singer who I'm thinking of. Rasheen, I think her name is. Something like that, who, has had like epic, top 10 hits over there for years, and I'd never heard of this person. So are you from Northern or Southern Ireland, and do y'all identify that way? I've actually always wanted to know that. Are you in North Ireland? I heard that. See, like, he's in London now, right? You live in London, so I did assume the English bit. Jinx, right? Do I owe you a Coke? But like seriously, like speaking as someone from a country where North and South is a big whoop, and I know that in Ireland, North and South can be a big whoop. Okay, like I would say I am from the North of America. Okay, I'm not a Southerner. Like that's a thing, and I am not it. I recently met a woman from Northern Ireland and found out that matters. No, Mary, I'm like, right. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're from Northern Ireland versus the rest of Ireland, like, how much, how does that change how you feel about your own origin, I guess? That's kind of a thorny question, but answer as you will, it's a sidebar, obviously. Oh my gosh, where were we? Yeah, no, differences in fame levels of different celebrities, which is not an interesting topic. No, but I think that points to the difference in our media landscapes, right? Because it's not the culture. I have never had any real difficulty understanding culturally anything that I've seen come out of the UK or Ireland, for that matter. Cheers. It's green. Look, see? Kind of a grass green, though, not really a shamrock green. Sorry about that. The North is still controlled by Britain. The South is no, I know, but it is, if you'll forgive me, still a smallish island, and all of those people are Irish, right? So I guess how hard is that border? Yeah, no, that's crazy. And like, I don't know really what is going on there, but like, why does the UK government need to control a chunk of Ireland? Why do they need that? I feel like they don't need that. I'm not an expert. This is not an expert opinion. But like, what? That's, it's never made any sense. Never made any sense to me. And I've had people try and explain this to me. And that's just never. Oh, what up, Ella? How you doing? Oh, yeah. No, I was telling you about how the book fell apart. Yeah, that's what it was. So I had my ending and I kind of rushed to get that done because I was going to get that done. Oh, Mary can't see Ella. Doggone it. Ha. Drama. I'm talking about the book anyway. I'm good. Got the ball rolling on my new career. Ooh, what are you doing? I haven't heard about that. Congrats. Yeah, so I got the ending written, and then tell Mary I'll switch to my other account. Okay, Ella's gonna switch to her other account, Mary. But yeah, so long story short, the ending doesn't change, but the book fell apart because all of a sudden I have this essentially a new character. I got like it all percolated over the summer, and I got the answer to my mystery. Very fluid. Brexit hasn't helped, but it's free movement. They kept the North as a divisive tactic, as well as most Protestants were living there. Oh yeah, I was gonna do that. Yeah. Okay, free movement. That's good. That's good because that would be ridiculous otherwise. Just like cordon off this little chunk of Ireland, like that's insane. What up, Ella? Feminist mama. Okay, cool. Yeah, right. And these days, I don't know about Ireland, but I know in a lot of places the whole Protestant versus Catholic thing has cooled off a lot. So that might be less relevant than it once was. I don't know. But yeah, so over the summer, I fleshed out my hero and I figured out the answer to my mystery. So, I'm letting it percolate and trying to sort of put this into what I had written, and it all fell apart. So I had to go back and make a new outline for book 3, which I did that a few days ago. And then I actually sat down and sketched out the first scene and actually started writing it. And I got about halfway through it a couple of days ago. So the rewrite of book 3 is officially underway. I did not want to do this. Oh God, I did not want to do this. But like, man, you got to stick your landing, right? There's no point in doing all that tumbling and all that gymnastics, all that stuff, all that fancy shit in the air if you land on your face, right? Like the ending, the last part is very important. Thank you. Message will self-destruct in 10 seconds. I'm getting back into real estate. Oh, really? That's so funny. We just went to a Keller Williams meeting the other night. My husband is probably going to do that. He would be really good at it. It is not for me. And I told them that. I'm like, oh, no. I am here to support, him because this is your dude. I am a writer. Like, oh, what do you write? This is like literally the first time I've actually had the opportunity to really talk to anyone about this in a professional capacity, like in a professional environment. So I'm like, nonfiction and fiction, like political and social commentary. And now I'm writing, a book of historical fiction. Oh, I said that, actually their regional manager apparently just published a sci-fi novel. So that's funny. The ending is very important. Yeah, right. And the ending doesn't change. But like I was talking about the lead up to the swing, and like my lead up is really wobbly and shaky and like just I'm going to have to cut so much. Because half of the comedy was these two characters interacting and now they don't actually ever meet one another. So I can't even like just keep this scene and that scene and what, Nope. Oh yeah. And I guess I decided Well, so the last part's gonna have a bit of a different structure to it, but do you guys think anybody wants to read about what an old lady does? Do you think anyone cares about that? Do you think anyone is gonna give a shit? How old should I let my protagonist get? I guess is what I'm saying. You think there's any point that people are going to just like, who the hell gives a shit what an old lady does and put the book down and walk away? You think? Maybe not. Maybe if I've actually gotten them like attached to the character by that point. Like that's what I got to do, right? I like to follow a character till death. Well, good news. But, it being fiction, should we have it happen at 40 or 80? I can do what I want, right? Right? If the character is good, we will care. Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. But like the first book all takes place, and like her growing up. Like she is an adult by the end of the first book, but like most of it she's not. And I've had a couple of people assume that therefore it is a YA novel, and it's not a YA novel. It's not. The second one certainly isn't. No, because now we're an adult. Adult things happen. Wouldn't you know it? My favorite book, the first person main character dies, and then there's another chapter. Ooh, which book is that? And how do they resolve that? I've heard about this. Cause yeah, we're doing first person narrator here in mine as well. But like it does end when it ends, if you know what I'm saying. Like that's crazy. How would you do that, Called Scorch. All right. Cool. Dad, come out here without my notebook. Oh my god. That can't be. And the last chapter is from the point of view of another character. Okay. Cool. It is, and it works though? Like that seems like a big turn to take right at the end of a novel. But you said it's your favorite, so it works, right? I have to go get my notebook. Oh god. See if I can sit here without my notebook. As if that was gonna work. No. Is it in the which bag did I dog? Come on. Come on. Let's see. Like, is it ever? Met people who just are not book readers for whatever reason. It doesn't make you stupid or something. Where's my diary? Oh my god. This is not allowed. No. Oh, here we go. My friend from college, his aunt read the book. Oh, I first read it 20 years ago. Nice. That's very interesting. So that's how you happen to have a copy to read, I guess. I've pulled some amazing stuff out of libraries. And I've noticed that first-person narrators are pretty popular these days, so I bought it, but that's probably how I heard of it. Yeah, okay, cool. And then you really liked it, so that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I was hesitant about the first person, honestly, and not because of the limitations storytelling-wise, because that actually proved to be really fun And it makes me think like third-person omniscient writers are so lazy. You know, if I want my reader to know something, I have to figure out a way to show it to the character. There's actually a fun trick I'm going to have to pull off in book 3 where the reader needs to figure something out that the character doesn't. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. But yeah, if I want the reader to know something, I have to at least have the character encounter it. I can't just fucking have this shit happen. You know, I can't just give my readers a big exposition dump. Like, that doesn't work through first person. Yeah, but I'm morbid. I like reading the story. As hard as she tries, she dies, and I love the description of it. It's so peaceful. Oh. Yeah, I didn't actually describe it. I just like made it clear in the lead up what is happening, and then like some thoughts. Well, okay, a little bit of physical sensations, but like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy that part. I didn't enjoy writing it, you know. And there are a couple of scenes that I am gonna just keep. I'm just gonna lift them from the original manuscript and put them in the new one because I'm not rewriting that shit. It doesn't need it. Like, there are a few things that still just happen the way that they already happened, and I'm just no. I don't have to ever write that again. You know, like I did it, and I don't ever have to do that again. I promised myself when I wrote it that I was never going to have to do that again. Ha. Anyways, yeah, book 3 is officially underway again. I finished it last time at the beginning of May, and God, I hope it doesn't take. No, there's no way it's going to take that long. I don't know. I don't know. It's highly variable. It took me almost a year to write book 1, and then book 2 was done in a month. And I looked at it and I said, no, I didn't. I don't know how I did that. So it's going to take somewhere between a year and a month. No, and like I know exactly what needs to happen. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it, I guess. Quite a spread. Yeah, right? Although, to be fair, I treated the first one like a precious treasure, you know, and I hand wrote several different versions of it because, well, several different, like, I had my rough draft and then I had my second and third drafts, and they were all written out longhand because I'm a freak. And that took some time. But, like, and then the second one, I was like, this is insane. So I just went ahead and pulled out the computer because then I had to sit down and type up book 1. And let me tell you, typing out 35,000 words is some boring shit. So with book 2, I would literally like sit down and I would write the chapter that day. And then if I could get around to it, I would sit down and type it up that night. So that then at the end, I didn't have 30,000 fucking words to type all at once. And then that ended up being wicked faster, wouldn't you know it? So, yeah, we're going to do this one that way. Because, yeah, and so let's see. It took me almost a year to do book 1, and then I got book 2 done in a month, and then it was February, March, April. I guess 3 months for book 3 the first time, roughly. So I guess if I really pushed it, I might have it done by the end of the year. But I'm shooting for the end of January, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of it like this, really. I got to keep up my momentum is what I got to do. Take it a day at a time. You know. But like, I feel bad because I was talking about having book 1 ready to go to an editor by about then. And I had a conversation with my web developer friend about it. And then I had to pull that back and be like, yeah, actually, I have to rewrite the entire third part. And one day at a time and type up what, right, exactly. It's just kind of hard. Honestly, I don't want to go through all that stuff again. I don't want to go through all that again. And I don't want to see the ending again. I don't want to do that. But then no one else will ever see it, so yeah. I really wish I could come up with a good answer for the question, what do you write? Words. Like, no. Like, I do prefer nonfiction as a reader. So I feel a little strange, wading so deep into the fictional waters. I feel sort of like an uninvited guest. But don't you want an ending that people want to reread? Yeah, but hey, what up, Kitty? Hey, I owe you an email, girl. I'm sorry. It's been a week. Been a very busy week. I just got started rewriting the third book. This is what I was talking about. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Yeah. An ending that people want to reread. Yes, I definitely want an ending that people, and I want the book to repay on rereading. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of foreshadowing and symbolism in there that you're not going to notice on the first read. Or you might notice it as like atmosphere and not understand its relevance. That upon, second reading, you're going to be like, there's a lot of that. But, like, it's not a happy ending. Can I just read the ending part where we die? Like, no, because then it won't mean anything. That's the kind of books I love, where I go back and I see stuff I missed the first. Right. And I think that's how really good foreshadowing works. Good foreshadowing doesn't come out and whack you over the face, does it? Where you sit back as a first-time observer and go, well, that's some foreshadowing. That's going to be important later. Like, what is this, a cartoon? Where you can, like, kind of see the part of the cell that's going to move because it's a slightly different paint color than the background. Like, come on. I just want to let you know if the death is well written. That sounds like the first half of a sentence, so I'm waiting. Right. But so it's not a happy ending. So I don't enjoy writing it. Like, I'm sorry, I was reminiscing about hanging out with my dad at hospice. Oh my God. Yes, exactly. I started a couple books recently, and the foreshadowing was so blatant, I just quit. Yeah, no. You want to feel like you've discovered something, not like somebody came up and sold you something. That's why I just want to read the end. Oh. No, it's not a happy ending. So I don't like it. I don't like writing it. It's not the kind of ending I suspect other people are going to enjoy reading. I hope their emotional reaction at the end will be something along the lines of, but no, I want to make them angry and upset. Actually, that's what I'm going for. So, unfortunately, thusly writing it's kind of angering and upsetting because that's the emotions I want to put in there, and I'm not looking forward to that. Oh, and we got to get through all the nice stuff first because we have to establish what gets destroyed for that to mean anything, right? But I can't write these people as if they're all going to get destroyed. I can't write it that way. We have to start and actually walk through the steps, the emotional steps, right? My Sister's Keeper, the ending pissed me off and it made sense, Right. That's why you should be, if you're angry about an ending, it should be because of the ending in the story. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes a happy ending is just not going to come, it just doesn't work. You shouldn't be angry because of how they wrote it. You shouldn't be angry because as a reader you feel cheated, right? Yeah, I want you to feel cheated in that the character got cheated, essentially. You know, I want you to feel that. Feel what the character is feeling, which is not good stuff. But like when I reread Scorch, I think maybe this time she will succeed and not die in a fire. That totally makes sense. Okay, yeah. So in order to put those feelings into the ending, I have to feel them, and I'm not looking forward to that. At first I get to write the happy part. Yeah, where we recover from the stuff that happened in book 2 and start to, blossom there and well, it's not a happy ending, so that just it's not going to get to, I don't want to give away too much. I also don't want anyone going into this thinking that it's Harry Potter. I've had that comparison a lot. I think it's just because of the witches, I guess. I don't know. Because hers is not historical fiction. And it's not about witches. And it's not about a girl. And it's not, like, it is a flattering comparison. Don't get me wrong. I'm not offended by it. But it's frustrating because I do not want anybody approaching this. Because, yeah, in the first book, the character spends a lot of it as a younger person. This is not Harry Potter, okay? So we have young people and magic users and people in England, and people are just like, oh, it's Harry Potter. No, it's not. It's not. And I really am nervous about the idea of anybody picking it up thinking that. Because Harry Potter was guaranteed a happy ending from the very fucking beginning, wasn't he? Because it's that kind of story. It's like people have never heard of any other books with witches besides Harry Potter. They're not witches. They're not even witch. I know. Like, they're wizards, right? Like, I don't have all my tools out here. God damn it. And like the witches in mine are so completely different. And like, wouldn't you know it? My universe has villains. Real ones. Not just a dude who wants to take over the world. I mean, I guess Voldemort is a scary guy, but he's just a guy. He's one dude. Like, seriously? These people have all this power at their command, and there's only one person who wants to take it away from them in any serious way? Come the fuck on. I'm sorry, from a storytelling perspective, there's a lot that you could do with that. I'm just saying. But also, I wanted to stick with realism as much as possible. I don't know how you do it. Creative writing for me was the hardest. I can write nonfiction all day. Fiction is hard. Well, it is if you have to actually come up with any of this stuff. But I didn't. I just had this idea sort of fall in my lap a couple of years ago and has just it's the kind of thing where I'll say to myself, what about this? And the answer just kind of, like, oh, okay, cool. That was it, which is part of why the first draft took me. What up, Philological? Part of why the first draft took me so long is because I wasn't doing research. I was really just kind of focusing on the story, and I'm like, I'm going to do all this historical research later. And then for the second draft, I did actually go and do that. And so then there was a lot of that worked into the second draft of the first one. And then it occurred to me, you know what? I have 2 more books to write. I probably don't need to perfect the first one first. I should probably just go ahead and move on to the second one. And then, like I say, it was done in a month. And by that point, you're like, well, I guess I'm going to roll right on into the third one. Without half of my plot established. How are we doing? Pretty well. How are you? We're just talking about how I haven't really done much else this week because I finally got the rewrite for book 3 started, wherein because I had my ending written, and then over the summer I took a break and had kind of fleshed out my hero a whole lot and figured out the solution to my mystery. And then I'm letting that percolate, and I'm trying to weave it into what I already have written, and the whole thing fell apart. So I had to come up with a new outline for book 3, and I got the first scene and a half or so sketched out, and actually sat down and wrote half of it the other day. So yeah, it was. It is. It's kind of, and like I was saying, I'm not enjoying the process because we're working up to the ending now, which is not a happy ending. But first, I get to establish all the nice, happy things that do exist that get destroyed. So, yeah, writing is sort of an emotional roller coaster because I want to actually put those emotions in it, for the reader to find and feel. But so then I have to, it has to have that authentic feeling in it. So I have to feel it to write it. And that sucks. Like, I hope that makes sense. And like I say, there is a lot of foreshadowing and symbolism that it's really just packed, especially the first one, because I went to quite a bit of trouble. And now I get to do the third one. And the second one is really just mostly action. Totally makes sense to me. I know I've read a good book when I feel something. Right. Well, and nobody is going to get through 2.5 fucking books to get to the ending otherwise. I figure. I mean, I did get through Lord of the Rings because it was mandatory, essentially. Cultural reading for me, even in the 90s. But, it did help that I felt attached to a couple of the characters. But yeah, mine's not going to be mandatory reading for anybody. So I figure if they get that far, they probably care. And like I've said this before, it is slow burn Victorian historical fiction. So if that's not your thing, that's okay. Maybe you don't need to come along for that ride, and that's okay. You can see the movie. Which, oh my God, there's something I can't even, obviously that's a goal, right? Because if you have a really successful novel, somebody's going to turn it into a film. And so you can't help but kind of have that in the back of your mind, like, oh my God. Getting ahead of myself. Yeah, but so I just can't wait to actually be able to talk to you guys about the characters and the plot instead of the creative process behind it, because I feel like that's a bit dry and repetitive. But the protagonist is not the hero, and I've said that before, and that took me an embarrassingly long time to come to. Sort of a Holmes and Watson thing going on. And the process of writing this has been very intuitive for me. But I'm not a pantser, people who will just kind of sit down with a notebook and no real idea of what they want to do and just kind of start writing. I'm not that person. No. I've been plotting and planning and scheming and, on paper and in my head for quite a while now. Like I say, I know what I need to do. It's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. And first I have to... Yeah, book 2 is pretty much all action, though. So we have book 1, which is the setup for the stuff that happens, and then book 3, which is kind of the reaction to what happens. And the resolution of that. So, it's kind of one of those. It's sort of an extended denouement, but there's a whole lot of stuff under the hood, you know what I mean? Of what happened in book 2 that we get to kind of pick at. But, what happens when you pick around the edges of something like that? You know, do the people, the nasty, nasty, awful people who are like involved in it, not notice that? You know, they not notice you investigating them? Like, hello. Oh boy. And it's interesting because book 2 is very different in a lot of ways. We have a much larger cast too. And in book 1 and in book 3, we kind of have our core. And then in book 2, it expands, you know, because like, oh my gosh, Overly Sarcastic Productions had the trope summary, I think it is, about magic school or super school. And I'm like, oh, that's fun. Because they basically left all that out. Like, because we do. We literally do. At the beginning of book 2, we go to witches school. We do. And I just thought that sitting through classroom scenes would be super boring. So I wrote like 2 short ones, and like most of it, and she even says this, that like most of the salient plot points don't actually take place in anything that is involved directly in school, you know? Because watching a character sit silently while someone else explains shit to them is boring. Like, thank you, right? But then we have Harry Potter, which is like literally the first half of the first half of every book of those is classroom scene. She made it work. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of that. I don't know. How do you guys feel about? No, I have to, because the teacher is an amazing character who I did not use enough. Oh, I did not use Henriette enough. Oh, I have to put more of her in there. And try and do her a little bit of justice, you know, like wow. Because she's a lot older than she looks. You know, it's one of those. Like there's so much background to some of these characters that just doesn't make it into the story, you know what I mean? Like, who is this woman and how in the fuck did she end up running a school for witches? Well, you never learn that. You never learn that, really. Like it's but she's pretty much everything you'd expect in someone like that. And yeah, we could definitely have her explain some more stuff. I think that could work. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry. We can talk about Jamie Dodger and transness if y'all want. This is where my head actually is at, which is why I was just like shooting the fish in the barrel this week. I was like, oh, Jamie Dodger has a video out and it's related to something I already covered. Sweet. You know, like. So it's both easy and relevant. And people like to take pot shots at Jamie because Jamie is just so incredibly mockable and sort of hateable, you know, just the smugness was really coming out. And you know, it's like one of those things where the more I watched Jamie Dodger back, the more the way she talks struck me. But like this was while I was editing it, and I'm like, always been smug. No, I know, but like I'm trying to explain exactly what it was about if it struck me. And it reminded me of Jessie Gender, honestly. The recursiveness of it, the way they need to just explain the same shit over and over and over. And it's like, who are you trying to convince? Okay. The only reason I'm revisiting any of this shit is because you're trying to sit here and tell me trans kids are a thing because trans adults are a thing. And it's like, you don't get to make claims over other people's children. Do you hear yourself? No. Oh my goodness. I'm really here just for moral and ethical concerns. I said all this for myself a long time ago. But that's just what it strikes me as. It's like it's self-soothing. It's like self-hypnosis. It's no, this is real. 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 You guys, this is real. And here's why. It's so real. It's so real. It's so real. It's so real. Like you're meditating on it. And it's like, that doesn't make it true, though. You can convince yourself that something feels extremely real. I've done it. Okay, I've done it. But there's limits to your magic, okay? Like, you can't actually wish yourself to be the opposite. You can't. And the conflation of the sex and gender. Oh, that makes me so angry. You want to being gender non-conforming has nothing to do with your hormone levels. What the fuck? Has nothing to do with which puberty you go through. Does it really? Because it will change what that means for you. You know, what's gender non-conforming for one is gender conforming for the other, and that's really the issue. Because if there weren't something to conform to, we wouldn't be worried about it. But like, what the fuck does that have to do with your hormone levels? What the fuck does that have to do with surgery? What does being gender non-conforming have to do with any kind of injections or surgery? What the fuck? No. No. You know, they love out one side of their mouth talk about how these are two separate things. I'm transgender. My gender is blah, blah, blah. Then why did you cut your breasts off? What the fuck? Does that have... You can be gender non-conforming with tits. You can. I've done that too, okay? Oh my God. No, you're trying to adhere to a different standard is what you're doing. You're not being non-conforming. You're trying to conform to something you don't conform to. You're playing against type is what they call that. That's really hard. And really sort of unadvisable, but refusing to admit that's what you're doing. And playing against type is the sort of thing, again, that comes from theater, I believe, where, you know, you want to sort of as shorthand cast a person who looks like the sort of character, right? So the audience doesn't have to work for it. So you know who the hero is because he's the guy who looks like a hero. And you know who the villain is because he's the guy who looks like a fucking villain, right? And you wouldn't necessarily cast somebody who looks like the dopey best friend in the hero role because that confuses people. They do it, and it can work. I'm not saying that this is a rule or anything. This is a heuristic. It's a shorthand. It's a storytelling tool. That then we get confused and, you know, think that heroes look like heroes and villains look like villains because the movie's set. No. It's storytelling shorthand. And then we take it to real life. It's like we try to apply these things to real life. And it's like you just can't always do that. It doesn't always work that way. Some things don't apply to the material world. I don't think that's how sort of shorthand is. You know, somebody having a strong jaw does not give them heroism. Those two things are not actually related. And somebody having a beard does not make them a man, coincidentally enough. Thank you. You know, I have given this way too much thought. Probably. Like I say, I get to come out. I get to find my way through this woods by myself. Okay, I recently celebrated 10, was it last year? That was 10 years? No. Was it 2 years ago? Damn, I've been busy. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even remember how many years ago precisely it was that I decided to throw all this crap away and start fresh with myself. Because that is how little mind I pay it anymore in my day-to-day life. But it's been at least a decade, possibly as long as 12 years ago, that I found myself at a mental fork in the road that I recognized from years prior. And it was a big fork in the road. It's carry on with this story that I've been living with or not do that. And the fact that I found myself back at this, I don't remember exactly what the crossroads was, but the fact that I found myself back at this spot told me that choosing the direction I wanted to go was a loop. I had to go the other way. I had to. Am I right? Little myth today, because my favorite language learning app is getting rid of everything I love about it. Oh no! That's the one you said you were addicted to, right? That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Like, seriously, that's going to be disruptive for you. Oh my God. It's funny because they don't think of it like that, do they? They just think they're improving functionality. It's like, no, the functionality was fine. I loved it. That's why I've been using it. Stop. Yeah. Fine. I need to spend less time on it anyway. Well, there's that. You said it, not me. Yeah, no, they're implementing a bunch of AI stuff. Yeah, again, that would right there would probably be enough reason for me to nope out. Like, I'm not curious of your reaction exactly. You're welcome. Like, I'm not interested in talking with an AI. I'm not interested in interacting with an AI. I'm not interested in watching someone else interact with an AI. I'm not interested in, you know, giving my time to something that doesn't care about anything and is just mining me for data. Like, there's not going to be any redeeming qualities to anything that comes out of that because it doesn't have. It's not a person. I have friends who spend so much time talking to it and just why. Did anybody else read Fahrenheit 411 or Fahrenheit 451? Like the scene where Paul's wife is just sitting there and chatting with this, like she's having a conversation with the TV essentially. And that's her social life. You guys, this is a dystopian science fiction novel. It doesn't care about you and it's just mining you for data. That's all that is. That's all that is. People used to make money doing that. People used to, like, training AI is a job. You can make a living doing that, theoretically. So not only are you participating in something that, like, we all saw Terminator. This is supposed to be the downfall of mankind. Why are you helping it? What the fuck? So there's that. And then there's also, you could get paid for that. You should probably get paid for that. Oh, and the sun's in my eye. Oh, what time is it? It occurs to me to wonder. Oh, because we're not supposed to be doing this all day, are we? Oh, it is 1:09. Okay. But yeah, so and there are all sorts of good applications for AI. Like, I think medical diagnosis is probably a really good application for that. Because that's a very strict, structured, material thing that can be measured in 100 different ways and has been. Like, there's tons of data to dump into it. And it would take the human error element out of it, And I know that AI is capable of making connections that we as human beings miss because of our own biases that it doesn't have. So fine. But don't make it the doctor. Their bedside manner is shit. And that's okay. Computers don't need a bedside manner. That's what people are for. Like, if you want to, that's the thing about it is if you want something to interface with your clients, human beings are really good at that. You have to pay them and give them lunch breaks and shit, which is a trade-off, admittedly. But come on, who are we? Are we robots or are we people? Like, whose side are we on here? If you guys hear that in the background, my 15-year-old is raking the lawn. Thank you. You rock. Call. Thank you. Nobody can see you. I can hear you. I'm sure everybody can hear you. And he's just kicking butt over there. I don't know. It seems like it needed commented on. Maybe that's my mom self-talking. I don't know. I'm out of coffee creamer, though, so that's going to make me sad soon. Oh my gosh. I'd love to do like a question and answer thing about the book sometime. Would you guys be down with that? Because, I could just sit here and babble about it. But that's not a great way of telling any kind of a story or talking about really anything. So, like how, I guess out of 10, like level of interest wise, I'd be down though. I need to finish listening to the book myself. Oh. It's only like the first 7 chapters that are, oh my God. I did that because I was so excited, to have it done, and I wanted to promote the damn thing, and I want feedback so bad. But it's like the barest nipple. It's like the tip of the iceberg of what is going on there. Maybe it's too early for that. I want to talk about it, but I don't really know how to talk about it. And I'm not sure like how the level of interest yet, because I have to drum up the interest. Like I get that. Which language learning app were you talking about? But on the other hand, I'm just so excited. I want to talk about it, but I don't want to just tell you what happens because then what am I writing all this for? Like give away the ending or give away the whole plot. I was going to say that I have adhered to actual reality as much as possible. And it's actually kind of fun because again, it's not Harry Potter and there's not memorize. And there's not like a whole bunch of like showy fireworks in every other chapter. And like, there's not like, what did they change? They're getting rid of all the community courses. Hey, you guys talk about that. I'm going to run to use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Sorry. Some of them are so good, like 15,000 words of German are all in one course. You can't get that anywhere else. Wow. I used it for Russian and it taught me memes. It was so funny. Oh, yeah. Different kind of, yeah. Oh, man. Ah. I've been using Ling because it had Georgian on it. I've heard lots of good things about Ling. Man, capitalism is just ruining everything. Yes. Yeah, because capitalism works for capital and we're not capital. Optimizing things for capital does not optimize it for people. User submitted content. Ling is awesome for writing. Oh, nice. Because, yeah, capitalism is a system built up to optimize the world for capital. So it's only ruining everything from a human perspective. Teaches me how to draw the letters. Wow. I mean, that's the benefit to having a name literally older than Christendom, is that my name would probably have a pretty simple spelling in Georgian, too. I'm so glad I didn't buy a lifetime subscription to memorize. Oh my god, Georgian is so cool. I hear it's really hard to pronounce. Tons of consonants! Ha ha! Fun. Is that Sarah? Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. What you told me about the shape. So I recognize the A. And, yeah. 33 sounds, only 5 vowels. Oh my god. Now, is it like English? Because technically we only have 5 vowels too, but they each have 5 sounds that they make. 5 different types of K. Ooh. Well, there's the extra consonants for you, I guess. English has 16. Right. But like written wise, we have A, E, I, O, U. But they each have 5 sounds that they make, yeah. I'm estimating. And then sometimes the combinations are real fun. The worst thing is my flatmates are trying to learn French and Spanish. I gave them a memorized community course of 5,000 words, and they've been racing each other to finish it. They just finished it today. Like what, just in time before it becomes not a thing anymore? Have you tried Mondly? Mondly. I paid for a year of that. It has those languages and a lot of vocab. No, should I check it out? Oh, yes. I'm considering Enki or just not bothering anymore. Ooh. Spanish is Spain, not Latin American. See, in Castilian Spanish, I'm not sure that would do me any good. He's Ling and Mondley. Oh my gosh. By the time I have the time to learn a foreign language, my brain is going to be so ossified I won't be able to anymore. Because, Spain Spanish is useless here around Latin America. Right, yeah. There are a lot of Mexicans here in town. I don't think Castilian Spanish is going to do me a lot of good. Should learn Latin so you can sound all witchy. Oh my god. Memorize had a Mexican Spanish. Yeah. Well, that's good. It's only a very legitimate dialect of that language. I mean, come on. But memorize is the one that's not going to be cool anymore, huh? That sucks. Fucking. I don't know. At this point, I would like to just maybe go and make friends with a Mexican person and learn it from listening to them. But I don't get out much less to meet someone in a place that, you might. Much less to get to know anyone from a different cultural group, like. Ha. Anyways, like you guys, okay. On a scale of 1 to 10 of like how interested are you in like the book stuff? And please tell me the truth. I will not be offended, okay? Like I say, I have to drum up this interest. I understand. I want to know how well I'm doing so far. Watch Spanish TV shows with English subtitles. Ooh, yeah. If I watched TV. Which, like, I'm not trying to take pot shots at everybody's ideas, but, like, I don't even remember the last time I watched an entire episode of a television show. No, you need Spanish subs. Studies show watching foreign stuff with English stuff, these people learn almost nothing with English subtitles. Okay, so I should listen to the English and read the Spanish. The other way around. Is that what you're saying? I did the opposite. English shows where I know what they say, with Spanish subtitles to learn vocabulary. Right. Okay. So that's what now Spanish audio with Spanish subs. Oh, yeah, I will tune that out. I'm sorry. Actually, I could sing you a song in Latin right now. I could sing you a song in Italian. I could sing you a song in Spanish. I could sing, and it would be perfectly intelligible. And I didn't learn them all in choir either. I have that ear where, like, I can hear words and I can memorize them in a way that means nothing. Okay? Like, and then I just hit play and it comes out rote. You know what I'm saying? It's why I tried to go into music in the first place, because I figured if my head is going to be a giant jukebox, I might as well try and make some money off it, right? Like, y'all remember that Gorillaz album with that random like Spanish song on it? I memorized that whole song. I have no idea what it's about. Curious question. When you tried to go into music, what instruments did you play? Well, we had a piano in my room, in my house when I was growing up. So I started with that and guitar and bass. And I dabbled in the drums because I was a rock and roll baby. So I really, really wanted to do that. And it wasn't going to happen. That was never going to happen. But like, yeah, electric and acoustic. And songwriting was really my main thing. So like song structure and chord structure and cadences and, like I want to have a hard rock guitar with a hard rock beat, but I also want a lyrics and a melody that are worth doing. I'm a bit of a Beatles fan. Needless to say. And all that old stuff, I'm not so much into the metal because I do not like having a man scream at me. And I'm certainly not going to pay for the privilege. My flatmate and I are going to write a song for a friend of ours that we really appreciate. He's doing the lyrics, and we're going to just jam to figure out the melody. I'm excited for it. Rockin'. What do you play? Oh, right on. And like I had a lap dulcimer for a while, and those are fun. Guess I'd be best at keyboard and bass. Yeah, I was always a solid rhythm, and I've always taken pride in actually being able to do the chords, and like, oh my God, I put myself through my paces, right? Like, and I play backwards, by the way. So, that makes reading tab fun. But it makes playing with other musicians super easy because it's a mirror image. Okay. And it makes learning from video super easy because it's all a mirror image of what I am doing. Yeah, backwards is in like I have my right hand on the fretboard and my left hand is strumming. I don't know if it's obvious through the camera, but yeah, I'm doing this backwards. And I know it. You walk into a guitar store and there's 2 fucking dozen of them, and one of them I might actually purchase because it is left-handed and it is $400. I can't tell you how many times that happened. That's a fun story. Yes and no. Are you ready for story time? Because there is no short answer to that question, which is weird. I know. But I'm not going to launch into all that unless you really want to hear. Of course, you are, working on your master's thesis, was it, or your PhD thesis in medieval literature? So you might be the person for that. Yeah, you might be the person for the story. Okay. So to begin at the beginning, when I was 12, my dad's mother got put in a nursing home, and she was so far gone that she told the lady behind the desk that she had 2 little daughters and no grandchildren. My dad is her baby boy. She didn't even remember he existed. Forget me. Fuck me. Okay. And that kind of at 12, that fucked with my head. I'm like, what is this? It runs in families? I'm sorry, what? So I went and I got out every book on neuroscience I could find to figure out what this was. And I read somewhere that people with higher connectivity in their brains, like okay, ambidextrous people were tested to have higher connectivity in their brains in between the hemispheres, right? And people with higher connectivity in their brains were more resistant to things like Alzheimer's. So when I got it in my head, it looked like the ripe old age of 13 years old, that I was just going to start using my other hand for everything and make myself ambidextrous, right? Which, okay, that's a crazy thing. Like 7th graders will come up with crazy ideas like that. But I actually did it and celebrated, instead of dying at 27, I celebrated the end of my experiment, 14 years of doing everything with the other hand. Writing, stirring things, opening doors, like everything. Okay. And, continuing research about this and whatever, obviously. And in the intervening time, in the 5th grade, I had joined a softball team, and I was very bad at it. I couldn't catch, and I couldn't throw, and I couldn't hit, and I was just awful. Okay, so by the time I got to high school, I was doing everything left-handed, and that including throwing balls, catching things, and batting. Okay, so I turned the bat around, and I went from hitting nothing to hitting every pitch. I mean, I wasn't Babe Ruth or anything, but I made contact with every pitch after having missed every swing as a kid, with no practice in between. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. Was I left-handed all along? What the fuck is that? And I was just taught to write with my right hand. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So that's the story. That's the answer. I don't know. Mm-hmm. My left hand is genuinely better at a lot of things. And then lately I've had this thing where, like, I had a horrible hand cramp because I've been doing all this writing, and I had to switch back. Because I thought to myself, well, the experiment is long over. That was 13 years ago. Okay, so so I just switched back, right? And so now I've yet to discover that my right hand is actually better at some stuff than my left hand that I've been using all these years. And so I do not know the answer to that question. I do know that the guitar made a lot more sense this way. Okay? Because again, Beatles fan, and McCartney plays his backwards. And I thought, well, shit, you can do that? Let's see if it's easier that way. And it was. It was like night and day. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing it this way. Whatever. Because by that point, I was already doing my experiment. But it didn't occur to me to flip the guitar over. It is curious, isn't it? So I'm sorry that there's just no easy answer. The short answer is I do not know, which is not a short answer to a question like that. As it only begs more questions. How can you not know if you're right or left-handed? Because I experimented on myself for over a decade in that way. So I don't know. But hopefully Maybe we'll have, oh, and you know what else? Hyperconnectivity between the hemispheres can cause symptoms of ADHD, which no one told, that wasn't in any of the literature I was reading in the 90s. Ah, well. It can also cause synesthesia, which I haven't noticed yet. But, I do just kind of use them both for various things at this point out of habit. Which hand I write with may depend on which hand gets the pen. And my handwriting changes, so that's going to be fun for archivists in the future, right? I hope that wasn't terribly boring. I think that's everything. Is it just you and me now? I think it might just be you and me now. I'm sorry. I did mention I'm a nerd. It's true. I'm not just saying that. It's not a gimmick, unfortunately, because gimmicks are always fun, right? That's their thing. No, I am just a nerd. I was going down rabbit holes before rabbit holes were a thing. I mean, not that other people weren't, but shoot, I guess I'm still stuck down that one. I guess I'm still lost on that one because I don't know. So, what do you think of my insane little story? Come on, give me some feedback, damn it! Like, I need feedback. Moisturize me, moisturize me, moisturize my ego. That's what that feels like, right? Ooh. Ah, I could make a drawn out metaphor there. I'm not sure everyone has seen an episode of Doctor Who from 20 years ago. Jesus. Even the new stuff is old now. What the fuck is this? Where does the time go? But I would not recommend playing guitar left-handed because it's a pain in the ass. I can't just pick up somebody else's axe and jam. You know what I'm saying? I have to bring my own. Because I didn't realize just how few left-handed players there are in the world. They're overrepresented in rock and roll, right? You have Jimi Hendrix, you have Paul McCartney, you have Kurt Cobain, just off the top of my head. And there's at least one in the new crop of like emo kids whose name I do not remember. But I had my daughter point him out to me a few years ago. So, yeah, I guess left-handed people are just overrepresented in arts and in the arts in general, and left-handed guitar players are overrepresented in popular music. So, I didn't realize that would be an issue. And so, when my son decided he wanted to pick it up, I said, you can try it out both ways, but I would recommend doing it the regular way. Because having to haul your own everywhere just in case somebody wants to. I'll be honest, that was just never practical for me. It's a limiting factor, a seriously limiting factor, come to find. And it's dumb stuff. Like when I was trying to haul my guitar around, I had it in a big old shell case. Because I was 14 and I didn't fucking know any better. I didn't know I could just go pick up a gig bag and put that bitch on my back. Let me tell you, a couple years later, the first time I saw one of those, I was like, God damn. God damn. Okay. Because I was raised by programmers and engineers, not musicians. Okay. Like, kind of alone, kind of in my own little corner on that one. Where did you guys go? What are you doing? Talk to me. Ridiculous having children carry such big equipment. Well, it's just it's a guitar, and I insisted on doing this. Yeah, I took it to school for the talent show tryouts and whatever, and I took it around with me because they wanted to carry it around with me. And I don't know if my mother was aware that you can go and get a case for like that, and she didn't care, or I don't know. That's the kind of, yeah. That was how many decades ago at this point? Yeah. But like, I felt really silly the first time I saw one of those soft shell bags. I was like, oh, well, shit. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense to carry something like that around. Seems your mom would be interested in you. Right, yeah. Which I do still tend to do because I'm projecting myself backwards, I think. What would mom do has become what would I do, which is not that, you know. Which is, actually is not an easier process than it might sound because that slot never really was filled around my mother very well in the first place. I think I just made an interesting Freudian admission, didn't I? Oh. And I think that if one does have kids, it can be a powerful personal developmental tool in that way. Okay, your life does not end the day you have a baby, unless you decide that it did. I'm out of coffee. Wah. My mom sent me an email last week. She finally realized to change my number. Right, I think you mentioned that last week. That's crazy. That's crazy. My mom doesn't understand why we don't have the kids call her. It's like I didn't have the kids call you when we were friends. What are you talking about? I went no contact, so I didn't email her back. That's right. Very good. But it's going to stick in your mind a little bit. I think that's inevitable. I think that's normal and healthy. And I mean, she still is who she is, right? Unfortunately. So the impact is going to be there. It's how you respond to it, right? Gosh, it's a nice day out here. I have a really good therapist I've been seeing twice a week. Ooh, nice. That's enough to actually get something done, isn't it? I've been learning about parts. Mm-hmm. So the maternal relationship is so formative, it can be hard to completely let it go mentally. Oh, yeah. I don't think that that's possible. I think that if you would accomplish that, you would break yourself. Like I say, I've kind of rewritten mine, I guess. Both through conscious kind of I want to say internal work, but like envisioning various scenarios, and I literally my favorite one was I just put myself in the situation I just put myself into my own memory. Myself now. Where kid me is over here and she's over there, and I smacked the living shit out of her. Just for fun. It's a memory, It didn't change the memory. I wasn't trying to do that. I just had this memory playing through my head, and I said, fuck this. And I stepped into it. And I smacked the shit out of her. Just as an exercise. Yeah. It was cathartic. And then, as I say, I've just had to step through a lot of these scenarios from the other side. I've just had to. It's become like an exercise, but it's just life, It's like putting your workout into your routine, like making yourself walk to work so you lose weight. It's like that. But without having a car, you're not choosing not to use the car. You don't have one, so you have to walk to work. It's like that. Where I have to argue about bedtime and stuff, and just some of these little traumas that I think we all probably have, because our parents weren't perfect people and lost their temper over some stuff, and I ate a banana cream pie and decided I had to walk for an hour. Well, that's a lot of walking's good for you. I could think of worse reactions to that. But yeah, so I guess I wasn't even aware of that until I said it just now, that what would mom do a lot of times has become what would I do. It was great. I laughed my neighborhood like 7 times. Nice. I hope it was a nice day. I almost forget it's supposed to be like almost a winter out here. But you're in Pennsylvania, so it's probably cold up there. yeah, I wasn't actually really aware of that till I said it. Because I've had to rewrite these scenarios. And there have been moments where like I know what my mom would do. And until that thought occurred to me, doing that had not occurred to me. And I'm like, wow, she would not be doing what I'm doing right now at all. Well, how about that? We go, you know? No, it was warm last night, making my walk very pleasant. Oh, good. Oh, I'm a big fan of pleasant walks. I'm a big fan of walks in general. Like, not in the rain and the cold. Like, don't torture yourself. But I'm a big fan of it as stress relief and sort of a low level like meditative practice, and as a healthy lifestyle sort of thing. And just, yeah, I would recommend that for, and just about anybody can do it too. So it's available to just about anybody. I guess that's sort of boring. These are so weird. Like, I'm glad you guys find this interesting, because sometimes I find myself a little self-conscious over being in front of the camera just talking for so long. Okay, because I am just not one of those people who finds myself so fascinating. It's one of the reasons I make the videos. They're edited, and I come up with like a point that I want to make going into it, right? So, and this is supposed to be a support discussion for that. And a lot of times we do that. If there were more people here, I think maybe we could stay on topic better. Honestly, does that make sense? Like, if we had more people kind of throwing stuff out there, which we will. We'll get there. We're gonna do. Oh, there's a woolly bear. Come here. Look at that. Oh. Anyway, it's a woolly bear. Yeah. And he's got a big brown stripe, so that's supposed to mean we're going to have a mild winter. But I saw an all black one last month. I had to save him from getting rolled over in the driveway. Yeah, woolly, like wool off a sheep. You never seen one, Mary? They are supposed to be all over this continent. There's a lot more of them here than there were in Cleveland, though. I will say that. No, it's not a bear. That's true. It is a big old caterpillar. Yes, it is. Ooh. Okay. You want to get down on the table? Because I don't want you crawling up my arm. There you go. Are we too high? You want to go down on the ground? No? Okay. Yeah, come on. Let's put you back over where I found you. Come on. There you go. Am I too high? I don't think so. I just love them. They're so cute. What? I can't have fun? Gosh. Well, judgment as I rolled my foot joint. Who is judging you? This is literally my first pack bowl of the day, and it is 2:00 in the afternoon, so on a Saturday, so I don't even want to hear it. Oh. That's true, because I put him up on the table. I did say that to the caterpillar. Ah! Ooh, am I telling on myself? Some of my parts said, "You are already too high." Well, and I think it's definitely natural to double check oneself, right? Oh, there he is. He's on the wall under the bench. I don't know. They're just so damn cute and they're so huge and fuzzy. I don't know. There's a self and we all have parts. Yeah, right. Oh, I was actually watching something really interesting about rationality, right? And like how you basically bootstrap yourself to a higher level of reason, okay? Because you can't reason yourself from a lower level of logic to a higher level of logic. Like, you can't do that. Here's the book, No Bad Parts by Rochard Schwartz, my therapist told me about. Yeah. I know that the treatment for DID is like integration, right? It's a fallacy to believe we are of one mind. Yeah, I think most people experience a unity of perspective. You know what I mean? But they don't always experience that. You know, I think that's what most people would perceive as their ideal. That they would, you know, the unity of perspective. And again, talking about reason and stepping up to different levels of logic. This guy was talking about the flow state. If you're familiar with it, what that is at all, it's where you've learned something so well, like a sport or a musical instrument or whatever, that you can just focus on pushing the boundaries of that thing, and you don't have to worry. You don't think about the fundamentals at all anymore. And you're so hard focused, you lose track of time. You're in the zone. Okay, that like the mono mind idea. We're all made of many parts. Yeah. See, I've always sort of thought of it as like facets of a gemstone, personally, for myself. Okay. And like, yeah, you can look at certain faces of it and you might not perceive the others at all. You know, they're still there and they're still a part of the whole. That's different from what I'm talking about before that you mentioned. No, yeah. Like I say, for myself, I've always thought of it sort of as like a faceted gemstone, but that's my conception of it. I recognize that. But something as complex as the human psyche is going to have a lot of moving parts. I think that just stands to reason. Anything complex is probably going to have a lot of moving parts. and they can work with a certain level of unity and unidirectionalness or not. Right? It's not a car. So if something starts to go on wacky, it's not like the whole thing is just going to break down. It's not a car, right? It's a mind, which is a funny, sort of nebulous, kind of squishy thing. The tricks is to stop fighting them and to be curious to them. Yes. Yes. I definitely would say that. Yes. No, but and so he was talking about how you can't infer logically from a lower logic to a higher level of logic. You have to have what did he call it? Some sort of a the word explosion was in there, like a perspectival explosion where you sort of have an aha moment where everything falls together at once, right? And that's not something you can do voluntarily. That's not something you can will yourself, rationalize yourself into, is it? So, like, the process of growing your mind, growing your perspective, and becoming a more rational being, more rational person, a more wiser person is itself irrational. And he tried to see that as a contradiction. He's like, no, that can't be. It must be a rational thing, but blah, 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 because it, like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that assessment of that argument you've laid out there. I'm not sure I agree with that conclusion. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, what do you think? If I'm making sense. I'm trying to summarize a 2.5 hour long philosophy video. I'm sorry. I waded into the weeds a little bit this week trying to get that book started. Oh my God. And you watch. I'm going to be in a pretty good mood for the next month or two while I'm writing the happy part. And then shit's going to go down and other people are going to show up who are aggravating. And then I'm going to be in a less good mood writing that part. You watch. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. But so I don't agree that the process of achieving greater rationality and wisdom must itself be rational. Why? He did make a very good point, though, that like children, we expect them to kind of be open to this, like, I think you'd call it a paradigm shift. And that there are certain developmental stair steps that you just kind of go through. And it's neurological, right? Their brain is maturing. That a 16-year-old can perceive and understand a lot more than a 6-year-old is not just because they're that much older. It's also that their brain has changed, right? And he put forth the idea that does not magically stop when you become 18. Yeah. So, but after that, it's all kind of woolly, speaking of woolly stuff. After that, it's all kind of, you're just an adult. And there's early and middle and later adulthood, but like we don't really developmentally have solid concepts of what the fuck that is or what it's supposed to be. What does a healthy middle age versus an unhealthy middle age look like? And why? There's just not a whole lot of work done on this for whatever reason. But I thought that was a really interesting concept. That, what was the saying? The sage is to the adult as the adult is to the child. I've said that that's like got to be the one benefit of getting older is you get to learn stuff, right? You get to figure something out. You get to have any idea, feeling like you have any idea what the fuck is actually going on. Because stuff starts to add up, whether you want it to or not, right? This is actually the part of where I've gotten in my journey over the last decade or so since I started the blog in the first place, because I realized there's just no one out there like me saying any fucking thing. It's like we were saying about the hero's journey. Where the fuck is his mom? Over his shoulder crying in the doorway, if in it at all. What the fuck is up with that? I'm just not a young man. I never was a man, and I'm just not so young anymore, and I'm not represented in my culture at all. What? Well, that can't be right. So I said, all right, fine. Maybe I write stuff. Maybe I'll do it myself. And if I'm not alone, maybe I'll find somebody, I'll figure out where they are. And this is part of what I've come to is that, middle age as a concept is so weird and shallow and like not at all. It's, if you get the middle age you expect from popular culture, there's something wrong. Like, you missed a step somewhere. Like, that's, no. It's more like some older stuff that I found, written by older people back before the cult of youth took over everything. Which, if you think about it in terms of a Roman cult, okay, and you hear, like, we've all heard some of these crazy historical stories from ancient Rome, right? About what these cult adherents used to do. They'd go through these crazy, did you see about the Me Too unless you are a Jew? What the fuck? No. That is a bit off topic. No, I do believe, though, I think of it, I've started to think of it that way, as the cult of youth. And, like, if you look at it as that way, we have a problem. in our culture, we have a pretty big problem with that. Because it's a pretty destructive cult and it's everywhere. There's the cult of youth, and that's a great way to name it. Yeah, yeah. Like, and you think of it in terms of like an ancient Roman cult. Okay, I don't mean like the Manson family. Well, not like that. Like adherence to, a deity, and their deity is youth. Okay, and they are inspired by this deity to do all kinds of weird shit, right? And write all kinds of books and make films, and like these values have been embedded into our modern culture in a way that they weren't historically. And I don't think I'm really saying anything that hasn't been established in a lot of other ways. This is my way of stating it. To me, this is how it makes the most sense to look at it, because I made the connection between. I don't know exactly when I made this connection between some of those crazy stories from like ancient Rome, and I'm like, people still do a lot of that shit though. We just don't use those words. We just don't look at it that way. But if you look at youth as like Apollo, okay, who had various attributes, right? Give youth a face. And all of a sudden, put a statue there, and all of a sudden, all of that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? And so does everything else in a lot of ways. Our treatment of, when I say older people, I mean literally anyone over 40. And we've managed to push the average, like we have a low life expectancy here in the United States at 73? But we've pushed the life expectancy to easily twice that. So this is yet another way our culture is so completely out of sync with our actual lives. That sort of cognitive dissonance cannot hold. That's unsustainable. I don't know what that means, but it's kind of frightening. And it also saves me time though, because if I notice, something has certain messages in it, I can kind of tilt my head and go, oh, this is cult of youth propaganda. Yeah, I don't need to worry about that. It saves me time. Look at this. And I'm sure there are others. I'm sure there are. I haven't really isolated any of them. Like it's like symptom clusters, it's like psychology. Naming symptom clusters, like naming constellations in the sky. And that really is all it is in a lot of ways. You got to then test it out in the real world and see if it actually holds any water, which you can't do with constellations in the sky, because that's a metaphor. But yeah, gotta get going. Oh yeah, okay. Great chatting with you. It is 2:00, isn't it? I gotta get going too. Shoot, is anybody else still paying attention? Oh, we got rolling with some big ideas there for a minute. Oh, my coffee is gone. I keep trying to reach for my coffee, and there is nothing in it. So clearly, I need to go. And my battery is dying, and yeah, so philological big plans. If y'all are still here, mwah, mwah. And whoever else is Ella, maybe, I don't know. Anybody else who is still here, mwah. Big love to you. It is 2:00 though, and my battery's getting low, and I have no coffee, and I'm hungry, and this was fun. Thank you. What am I doing for next week? I don't know. The next thing on the agenda is, creatively, is to finish writing that scene, which is the first step in a journey of 1,000 miles. Oh my gosh, wish me luck. You have a great week too, honey. Seriously though, is anybody else still here? No. 1:59:20. It's weird. Why doesn't that counter count seconds like by the second? It's jumping. I never noticed that. That's weird. Anyway. Yeah, so we're 15 seconds from 2 hours. I'm gonna sit here and count down the seconds. That'd be terrible. Um, Thank you guys so much, seriously, for hanging with me and on this beautiful day. Right, we lucked out again. So, um, 2 hours on the nose. Yeah, I never know how to end these. So yeah, you have a good week too. Mwah. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. It was fun. And I will see you later. Bye, guys.